DarkAce narrative.
We live in a very small town in southern Ontario. Small crimes here and there, but nothing too shocking. 4 years ago in June, around 2 a.m., I was woken up by the most blood-curdling scream that still pierces my ears every time I think about it, from my mother. I was so scared I couldn't move. I heard my dad get up, ran downstairs, and then pure silence. Apparently, my mom had heard some banging around in the living room, and normally this wouldn't bother her, as we had two cats at the same time, and they often played in the middle of the night, made a lot of noise. But she felt something was off, so she got up to investigate. She made it down the hallway, and there he was, a grown man, around 30 to 35 years old, who was in our living room trying to steal my brother's Xbox. After my mom screamed, he came running at her. My mom ran down into the hallway bathroom and locked the door. My dad was already up and out of bed at this point, and chased the man down the stairs. My dad was in the landing, and the man was at the bottom of the stairs, turned around and came back up to my dad with a knife and yelled,
Where's the f***ing door?
I did hear him say that, but I couldn't tell what was going on, as I was in my bed. My dad pointed to the door, and the man took off. Now, I know we are so lucky to have had nothing stolen or gotten hurt, but mentally, it has taken its toll on all of us. I was about 17 when this happened, and now at 23, I'm fully confident to shower or sleep at home alone. It has taken me so many years to be able to sleep properly at night. I'm only resurfacing this now because my boyfriend and I have just bought our first house, and the first few nights were a little rocky, but now I'm super calm, and that made me happy. Oh, by the way, before I forgot, the grown man, he was eventually caught by the police and was actually wanted in Toronto for grand theft auto, break and entry, and drug charges. Scary, right?
During my sophomore year of college, I suddenly had to switch dorms due to housing and residence life at my university being completely assholes to me and a few other student workers. Long story short, I lost my job and had to move within a day. My parents came 5 states away and made a huge fuss in the housing office, so I was able to get more moving time. I used to go on Instagram, shooting live streams a lot because I am a music minor and practicing in front of an audience helps me improve my piano skills. I guess Instagram had begun offering the feature of showing stories, showing lives on the Explore page, so I ended up getting a lot of views and comments from strangers. Nothing too bad, usually just song requests that I couldn't fulfill because I had a strict repertoire from my piano professor or hard eyes from strangers. I used to enjoy the lives until I got a comment from a man who knew the exact location of my university. I never wore any school attire during lives or publicized my location on Instagram, so it made me a little nervous. I stopped shooting lives after that for a while, getting caught up in regular work. My major is pre-law, by the way. I figured everything was fine. But suddenly, the guy sent me a few messages offering to take me on a date. A quick scan of his profile made it clear that he was at least 50 years old, and I was freshly 19 at the time. He worked as a laborer for the city my university is located near. He asked me several times a day what buildings my classes were in, if I liked the cafeteria, or any other, until I finally got scared. I called him a pervert and a fucking weirdo for being interested in me when I was so much younger than him and trying to find me while I was trying to go to class. I blocked him, however. A few weeks later, after I had forgotten about his weird messages, I got a message from him again, saying something along the lines of,
I waited for you in front of your dorm for hours, but you never showed. Did you go home for the weekend? You shouldn't be so rude to me next time. Or else, we won't have fun when we meet face to face.
It scared me more than I'd ever been scared. Anyhow, my close friend graduated from the university and began working as a campus police officer around the same time, so I went to her to see what I could do. Sadly, not much could have been done, but I definitely pulled back on my social media presence. The guy followed me from 2 more Instagrams with different usernames, and I blocked them all before he could even message me. Thankfully, since leaving and moving after that spring semester, I haven't heard from him or anyone else creepy. Geez.
Hi, I'm a 24-year-old lad living in the UK. I work as a pharmacist at a hospital, and I usually do night shifts. My workplace is just a few lots away from home, so I just walk every night. A few months ago, while I was on my way to work, at around midnight, a car stopped in front of me and rolled down his window. The guy inside was wearing a scrub suit, so I'm assuming he is a nurse, have dark hair, chubby, and is probably around my age.
Hey, where are you heading? Let me drive you to work.
He said, but I politely declined. The guy looked harmless, and I guess being polite wouldn't hurt. He looked pretty normal, but there's something in his eyes that unsettles me. He didn't go away after that, instead, kept on insisting to drive me to work. That's when I snapped and told him that I was waiting for my boyfriend, which isn't true because my boyfriend is in the US, miles away from me. He seemed to believe in it and just drove away. Days have passed when I got a chat request. I tried to check the profile and saw that it was the creepy lad offering to ride me to work. How he got my name, I have no idea. I didn't pay his chat any attention and just went on with my pretty busy life. 2 days after that, I got another message from him saying,
You were smiling earlier. You look cute.
After reading that message, it felt like I have been splashed with an ice-cold bucket of water. Was he at the hospital? I didn't want to know. I told him to stay away from me, and off. Days have passed again, and I have almost forgotten about this guy. Until I saw him, again, standing on the hallway, looking at me while I was exiting the room doing rounds. He tried to approach, but I beelined my way to the other hallway and went back to the pharmacy. That's when I started freaking out and told my boyfriend. He advised me to just drive to work instead of walking. And I did right after that night. I also blocked the guy to avoid any unwanted future creepy messages. So far, I haven't seen him in months and I want to keep it that way.
It was night. I was lying in bed, calmly playing games on my phone and texting my friends on Snap. Out of nowhere, some guy named Felix texts me. Apparently, he's added me from QuickAdd, friends of friends. I thought he might have gone to my high school before I moved. So, here it goes.
Hi.
He says, "Heyo." I replied. He asks what I'm up to. I told him I was watching YouTube at the moment. And then, long pause. Suddenly, after a while, he was saying these weird things, which if I don't do what he tells me to do, he'll come to my house. Quickly, he then states my street name. And said that he will rape and kill me, spread nudes and hack my Snapchat. It's been a long time since I was that scared. But, after an argument and lots of insults coming from me, I find out that it is in fact empty threats. He breaks and removes me after saying,
See you tomorrow.
Giving a warning to my friends. I posted a screenshot of this guy's Snap profile on my story, alerting to not add him, and if they had him added, to immediately block and remove him. Seemingly, a friend of mine came forward and told me he'd done the same to her, and she lives a few states away from me. Anyway, police were also notified, though they didn't do much. Although, everything turned out okay now, and I am safe. There's still a fear in the back of my head. I didn't know my Snapchat location was on at the time. I have since looked further into Snapchat privacy, and I don't use it near as much as I used to. My Snapchat is locked down now, no location nor identifying information, and I have taken myself off now from QuickAdd.
For 2.5 years, I was employed as a barista at Starbucks. This story takes place during my 6th month on the job. The establishment where I worked at is known as LA Live. It's nearby the Staples Convention Center. I'm usually an employee who preferred to take on night shifts, and in spite of the story you're about to hear, I still am. This Starbucks store typically closes at 1:30 a.m. However, it takes me approximately 15 to 20 minutes to walk back to my car, since most Starbucks employees don't have employee parking in downtown LA. Earlier one night during a closing shift, two strangers, a guy and a woman, were knocking in the back room, which is odd, because the back room of Starbucks is directly connected to a long hallway that's like a maze. It's also connected to various restaurants, and has 2 floors. There was no events going on that day, so there was really no need for those 2 strangers to be there that day. Keep in mind that this hallway is also connected to the underground garage parking lot. One guy was dressed in a coat, and the woman was dressed like a prostitute. The man himself insisted on having me guide him back to his van. However, these guys gave me too much of a bad vibe, so I instructed them where they needed to go, and to let me be. The man, regardless, became frustrated, but I honestly just closed the door on them. This happened at approximately 11:30 a.m., and I spent the rest of that shift making drinks and cleaning. I informed the manager in charge of what happened, so we decided to opt out from taking out the trash, which in itself is a mission, since I would have to go 2 floors down, and that's not including the walk down that hallway to the elevator. After clocking out at 1:30 a.m., I walked over to my car. My car is usually parked inside a relatively calm neighborhood. I get that it's dangerous, but sometimes at this time of the morning, I like to listen to my music. However, something told me not to do it. 10 minutes into my walk, I heard footsteps, which weren't my own. I speed walked to my car, and immediately hit the ignition. As I drove off, I could make out 2 dark silhouettes, but I didn't stay back to say hi. I drove off back home, and I consistently looked over my rear mirror to ensure that I wasn't followed. Fortunately, I was not, and made it home safe. Eventually, I had the opportunity to transfer to another Starbucks in DTLA. However, this was one of those rare stores with parking. To this day, I think that those 2 dark silhouettes was the strange man and the woman.